If you're a teacher, you know this feeling all too well. The huge challenge, but also the incredible importance of giving really effective feedback. So today, we're going to dive into how technology isn't just about making that job a little easier, but about totally transforming it for the better.
Does this look familiar? That sinking feeling when you look over at your desk and see that mountain of assignments, and every single one is waiting for your thoughtful, handwritten notes. It can feel like you're completely drowning. And the scale of this problem is it's huge. I was reading this Edutopia article, which is what this whole explainer is based on, and it pointed out that a single high school English teacher could be staring at over 100 papers for just one assignment. That is a massive amount of work. So right there, that's the core problem, isn't it? We all know that good feedback, the frequent, timely, actually useful kind, can be a total game changer for a student. But we also know that providing it is one of the most draining, time-sucking parts of the entire job. So what do we do? Well, the solution isn't to just work harder or grade faster. It's about changing the whole model. And that's what this is all about. Using technology to not only lighten your load, but to actually empower our students in the feedback process itself. And this slide, wow, it really nails the shift we're talking about. We're moving from the old way, where the teacher is the only one giving feedback, which is slow and, let's be honest, often puts students in a really passive role. The new way uses tech to create a student-led, super active process of revision and self-regulation.
But, and this is a big but, to make that shift happen, you can't just throw a new app at your students. First, we've got to equip them with the skills to give and receive feedback in a meaningful way. It's a skill you can teach, just like anything else. The education expert John Hattie said it best. Comments like good job or nice work are, well, they're basically useless. They don't give a student any real information on how to get better. We have to teach them how to give feedback that's specific, that's actionable, and that's directly connected to the learning goals. So, how do you actually teach that? Here's a really simple but super powerful little framework. Teach students this 3-step process. First, start with something positive. Second, pinpoint one specific area for growth. And third, and this is absolutely crucial, always tie it back to the rubric. This simple change turns that vague, good job, into targeted, goal-oriented advice. The good news is you don't have to invent this all from scratch. There's a tool called Floop that's designed to do exactly this. It gives students models and sentence starters to kind of hold their hand through the process until they get more confident and intentional with their peer reviews.
Okay, so once your students have those foundational skills, it's time to put them into practice. So let's open up the digital toolkit and look at a few platforms that can really change how feedback works in your classroom.
First up, we have EduFlow. And its killer feature, really its superpower, is the option for anonymity. Students can post their work and give feedback to their classmates without anyone knowing who said what. This can completely change the whole dynamic of peer review.
Think about it. That anonymity can be so powerful because it takes all that social awkwardness out of the equation. Students aren't worried about offending a friend or getting a critical comment from someone they don't like. They can just focus purely on the work itself, which, you'll find, leads to way more honest and helpful conversations. All right, next up is a tool I'm pretty sure we all know and use, Google Docs. But the key here is to be way more strategic with it. Stop thinking of it as just a digital piece of paper and start thinking of it as a dynamic space for a conversation, using those highlight and comment features. Here's the real game changer. Flick the dynamic. Encourage your students to go into their own work, highlight a section they're unsure about, and ask you a specific question like, is my evidence strong enough here? This lets you, the teacher, give super focused feedback right where they need it most. Plus, that version history becomes this amazing window into their whole revision process. You can actually see their growth. Now, written feedback, even in a great tool like Google Docs, can sometimes feel a little cold. The tone can get misinterpreted. So what if we could bring the warmth and the clarity of our own voice right into that digital space? Well, that is exactly what a tool called Mote does. It's a really simple Chrome extension that lets you record and pop in voice notes directly into Google Docs, slides, you name it. It's basically like leaving a little mini conference for your student right there on the page. And the benefits here are just instant. Your tone of voice can communicate so much encouragement and nuance that text just can't capture. Students have said it helps them focus, that the feedback feels way more personal, and it just makes more sense. And hey, the free version gives you 30-second clips, which is pretty much perfect for short, impactful comments. So, we've looked at tools for individual revision and for peer-to-peer feedback. This last tool we're going to look at takes things a step further. It transforms feedback into a genuine community collaboration. This is Perusall, and it's a platform where your entire class can annotate a single document together. And I'm not just talking about text. It could be an image, a painting, whatever. Everyone can drop in their comments and reply to each other, creating this really rich, layered conversation right on top of the source material.
Now, unlike EduFlow, the comments here are not anonymous, which builds in accountability. Perusall turns what used to be a solitary reading assignment into this vibrant community dialogue. It really amplifies every single student's voice, and you get to see them leading each other to deeper insights. It's amazing to watch.
So, you implement these skills, you bring in some of these tools. What's the big picture? What's the real payoff for rethinking your entire feedback loop?
Well, it really comes down to these three huge outcomes. First, yes, your workload goes down a lot because you are no longer the one and only source of feedback. But honestly, more importantly, student engagement just skyrockets. They become active partners in their learning. And over time, they develop that crucial skill of self-regulation, the ability to look at their own work, assess it, and improve it. And that is a skill they will carry with them for the rest of their lives.
And that really leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. What if we shifted our entire perspective? What if the goal wasn't just for us to give better feedback, but to cultivate it as our students' most powerful, lifelong learning skill? What would that change?